Our next session, Conference of Broadcast and AV, Enhancing Communication and Collaboration, curated by RTAV, will now turn to a pivotal discussion on this evolving intersection of two powerful industries, broadcast and AV.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for coming in. My fellow panelists, welcome to the show. And without any further ado, let's start. So, we have a very interesting topic today about convergence of broadcast and AV. It's been particularly a topic which has been very close to my heart because, I have predominantly coming in from a pro AV industry, going into broadcast, and then seeing the convergence of the broadcast with AV. So, I'll just have a few questions for you guys and, take your thoughts on it. So, my first question, would be to Kuldip. Kuldip and I go way long back doing AV projects together. So, Kuldip, what comes to your mind, or rather what came to your mind maybe about 5-6 years back when you thought about, broadcast technologies?
Thanks, Rohan. So, of course, the industry has grown and we're not looking at only very standardized applications for meeting spaces or for training rooms. As AV has moved to IT largely, and we also have teams, so end user teams which are distributed globally. You end up getting into situations where trainings need to be more impactful. You need to have town hall sessions which need to cater to audiences globally. So you do end up having needs where customers do ask for solutions which are more specialized and I would say professional grade as much as possible within the enterprise. So that's where we kind of got led into many projects which required such technologies. And of course, today with the advent of a Teams or a Zoom or a Google Meet platforms, it's going to just get more and more prevalent in enterprise.
Thank you, Kuldip. I mean, so when I basically thought about broadcast technologies about 5-6 years back, all I thought about was, a TV channel or maybe something with a green screen studio. And, I never thought those technologies would come, to the professional AV markets at some point. Maulik, you've been in, doing a lot of stuff into audio. Do you see, a lot of broadcast products that are being used in, broadcast audio products being used in the Pro AV markets these days?
First of all, thank you, Rohan, for having me here. When you talk about broadcast, I think AV or audio just goes so hand in hand with each other. Today, broadcast as a whole has become, it is absolutely something that you would want on your phone, to news channels, to OTT platforms, to YouTube, where your audio and video needs to be the most crisp possible. So integration of both is so necessary, and it 100% has become interdependent.
Thank you. Madhu, you've been doing, you've been selling broadcast products for over a couple of decades now. And I believe when you started your career, broadcast was all about TV channels. Where do you see that today?
Good afternoon, all. So I belongs to broadcast industry for about 20 years. So, for my 75% of this duration, I know only about broadcast. So what I am understanding in these last 5 years is what about AV the more. Broadcast is a unique platform. As a broadcast person, I would always tell broadcast is about content creation. Actually, broadcast itself had an evaluation from analog to digital. Broadcast helped movie industry to post-produce their content in the non-linear format. And broadcast have got its own analogy. SMPTE drives broadcast, and broadcast is little complicated in yesteryears because of its own analogy, like time code sync generator, time code lock, and like the remote will help the internal post production studio or production studio to help each other. There is a island within the broadcast, and like that was when the non-linear editing ecosystem has come in. That means earlier broadcast was only with tapes and drives, spools. So there is no actually editing used to take place with two of the recorders or players physically. So time code used to be monitored like by a person personally looking at the clock. So from there is a system called non-linear editing games. That was when the broadcast meets IT, about 26 years before precisely. And from there on, that was the time I think AV also like started converging with IT. So then like we are here with this kind of evolution, and I think like we can share more insights about this.
Well, thank you, Madhu. So, Nikhil, my next question is to you. I mean, you've been designing world-class facilities for corporates in education institutions and stuff like that. Do you see a demand for broadcast technology? So, let's say maybe it's a cafeteria and you want to do a town hall session, or some corporation want to build up their own production studio. Do you see a lot of demand for these kind of applications from the corporates?
First of all, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Rohan, for inviting us to be a part of this panel. It's a very interesting space. Now, coming to requirement of, say, the broadcast or, the recording studios in corporates and education, I think that's something which has taken a precedence in the last 3 to 4 years. Before that, ideally, the town halls used to be just a local event. People used to be, having a mic and it should be local presentation and not a lot of, I would say, connectivity across the globe. Post-COVID, what people realized is you need to be in touch with people, because a lot of the organizations, especially the IT organizations, grew drastically. There was a lot of requirement for digitalization in, across the world. Teams grew. A lot of people got onboarded. But the one fundamental thing that they were missing is connectivity to the culture. They don't know who their colleagues were. They didn't know who was the management. They had no connection whatsoever. That's where, the requirement for a broadcast. And in corporates, the broadcast is something where I would say, where you connect the local to the global. You have global teams who are based out of, say, New York or, San Francisco. They want to connect to their team. They've just set up a new GCC in India. They have hired 3,000 people. Not everybody is able to travel. How do you connect? That's where broadcast technologies play a very important role. So you have your local town hall sessions, which have been now, I would say, magnified into a global broadcast setups. Quite often, you want messages to be conveyed to your teams. You want the teams to be in touch with the global leaderships. You want the teams to be in touch with multiple, business units. You want to honor the employees who are doing well. How do you do this? You cannot bring a third-party organization to, conduct this every time for them. Everybody felt that the requirement is so big. Let's have it locally. Let's have it within the studios. Let's have it within the office. So that's where these requirements of developing the studios. Now, off late, large-scale projects, we are seeing a lot of the companies are developing these media rooms. Primary objective is to communicate what they're doing, to the larger segment, because a lot of them are going for IPOs, etc. They want to be present in the market. They want to show, their presence, and that's where these rooms come in, handy. In education segment, again, I would say, the remote classrooms are something which is picking up a lot. A lot of the education universities are going for, the broadcast studios within. They have their lecture, they have the professors who come in, give their, their lecturing sessions. These are recorded and then given to a lot of people, accessible to a lot of the students who are not able to attend. So definitely it's taken a lot of precedence, and we see more and more of these requirements coming more often now.
Right. Nikhil, you mentioned something very interesting to me about media rooms, right? Which goes to say that broadcasting technologies are not just used by, your IT or your AV professionals, but it is safe to say that a lot of marketing activities, a lot of HR related activities are being done. Kuldip, you do a lot such unique projects wherein the requirement is actually driven probably by a marketing department or by an HR department. Do you see more such applications in your environment these days?
Yeah, so that's a fair point, because many a times traditionally AV folks talk to facilities or IT, but generally there are a lot of other business leaders we end up talking to who have very specific requirements, or business requirements rather. So that's where we get a chance to look at some opportunities with brands to drive those kind of spaces, event spaces as well, for applications around experience and broadcast, and even like technologies to do like multi cameras, or specialized audio applications. So
I think my next question suits Maulik the best. Maulik, do you think the live streaming and the social media content actually set the trend for the quality video productions in the Pro AV space? Because I'm asking you this because you're the youngest of the lot. So what do you think about that?
Youngest, but with the least experience also. So yeah, so Instagram, YouTube, and for that matter even LinkedIn has set a bar so high when it comes to video, when it comes to the quality of video, when it comes to the quality of audio, that today broadcasting something which used to happen in a studio with a multi-crore setup is right now happening in a living room of someone, a person who's gaming, a person who's doing a one-on-one talk show with who's of who in smaller studios, in smaller rooms. So AV as a whole, or broadcast as a whole, has scaled in so, it's just scaled in maximum possibilities, where AV and broadcast has integrated itself in the best possible way.
I mean, absolutely, I could not agree more with you. And I think Nikhil has to add something to that.
So I just wanted to add something. Now, if you see LinkedIn nowadays, you see a lot of people posting about their offices. People posting that I have this corner in my office, I have a yoga room, this is my cafeteria, I have a nap room, and people post these kind of things about their offices. People want to stream. A lot of the workforce nowadays is Gen Z, and Gen Z is very, I would say, hands-on on their camera. They're not shy to come in front of a camera, stream things, communicate how they feel, and that's what's helping, and that's what's driving. So even when their offices are designed, so there's some concepts called Instagrammable spaces which are being designed, so that it is meant for Gen Zs to go there, click pictures. That's how they want to express themselves. They want to see the latest technologies in the office. They want to stream it, within the office as well. So that's definitely taking a lot of precedence.
Yeah, I mean, I could not agree more to this. In the middle of COVID, I was working for a company back then called New Tech, and while the sales of most of the companies were down, New Tech sales were soaring, and purely because they were into the live streaming space, and the requirement for live streaming was more than ever at that time. Madhu, my next question is to you. I think the broadcast industry, the incorporation of the broadcast with AV started to happen way long before with the house of worship markets, because I believe the house of worship streaming is way bigger than we can imagine in terms of the business, and I think you would have some thoughts on those fronts. So please let us know. Please share your thoughts on that.
Actually, the broadcast, there were a few broadcasters, TV channels. Then, those list of broadcasters got increased multifolded during early 2000s. And, there was a huge resource requirement among broadcast TV channels. Not only broadcast, along with broadcast, the movie industry also was growing phenomenally. So there is a huge requirement of resource for which the education institution expanded and started their courses like visual communication, mass communication, electronic media, Department of Media Studies. So many arts and science colleges got the affiliation for this kind of education specifically for broadcast technology, content creation, post-production and finishing, those kind of trades. I would call this as a revolution because of which huge number of resources came out of colleges and they started like aiming for the right opportunities, not only within the broadcast, beyond broadcast. Then obviously that was when even corporate enterprises started acquiring talents from those kind of colleges, and then rest is the history.
Thank you, Madhu. Nikhil, when you're designing an office space, how often do you come up with a requirement that, we would like to have an in-house studio? And as a consultant who designs these spaces, I want to understand from you why it is so important today, to have an in-house studio for a corporate office.
Right. So like I said, in the last 1 year, I've definitely seen an increase in the requirements of a in-house studio. Quite a lot of the corporates are developing in-house studios because, like you said, the requirement to communicate to the people has increased. It's not just the AV teams which uses this. In fact, AV team is just a facilitator. A lot of these, the studios are actually used by the Marcom teams to communicate. They have a lot of podcast sessions. They have a lot of discussions. HR teams conducts a lot of sessions with interviews with people. People take feedback. A newcomer who's joining, they want to show how the company culture is. They want to show how the company experience is, and they want to show how well the companies are doing. So the contents are often created. There are a lot of content creators who are hired by the companies themselves, and who use these studios to conduct the interviews, the podcast and all these setups. So definitely the requirements has gone up. Often we see any large space because a lot of the GCCs who are coming and setting up are trying to connect and trying to attract a larger, the larger audience as well for hiring.
Right. Kuldip, what is your thought on it? What do you think about, having a corporate studio, in-house studio with the corporates?
Yeah, I think as technology becomes more prosumer, I think it makes a lot more sense. Coming out of COVID, I don't think many would have looked at how big an impact software-based codecs like MTRs or Zoom would have created, right? So once you start looking at even platforms, and then you start saying, all right, how can broadcast tech work with those platforms? I think it will add a lot more demand, and like you have, let's say, typically a floor plate which is, let's say 20,000 square feet. There are, guidelines around what should be the number of seats allowed, and how many meeting rooms or how many, especially like common spaces are there. And I think eventually, as an industry, we got to look at seeding some ideas into space planners or into end users' minds of how they can use their space even better. I mean, that's my take on things. This may not be a very organic growth. We've got to kind of look at how we influence decision makers to utilize their space as well. Yeah.
So, Madhu, my next question to you is renting versus owning your own studios for spaces like these, right? Now, unlike a TV channel which uses their studio day in and day out, a corporate or an education institute may or may not, use 100% of that space. And you work with a lot of companies who are into renting out equipments. Do you see that, first question to you is, what is better for the corporates? Is it owning or renting? And secondly, do you see a growth in the rental markets for these corporate space events?
Good question, Rohan. See, these corporates, of course, that is the need of the hour to make right messages available in the market for every corporate enterprise company. So having said that, they were earlier dependent upon the rental companies to create their content. But over the period of time, when the evolution took place, when broadcast meet AV and IT, the technology was commonly or like up to the need, the technology was available with the enterprises, consumer themselves, professional consumer themselves. So that was when like they start understanding more about the content creation, delivery, distribution, and like in the sense in their internal communication purposes first for any corporate, and the external communication to the market about the product, about like their announcements. So all those started coming out, for which a studio become a need of the hour for any corporate house. So the advantage of having a studio or a content creation facility inside any corporate enterprises is like there are many factors like scalability. And scalability, like the investment, they can scale. When there is a budget required, at that point of time they can scale up, and they can make the system more flexible with their entire chain of the server and the content management devices, so on, so that like even the cost of ownership also become very less over the period of time. So like by having all those liberty within them, it become easy for them to invest in the content creation and delivery platform within them to support their own ecosystem. And like that was when like the companies, corporate enterprises started investing in their own studio. And now I like as far as my experience is concerned, there were hardly any corporate houses like are hiring or renting this kind of facility from outside.
Right. Maulik, you want to add something to that?
So yeah, absolutely. Like today, a lot many media houses, even smaller companies or even OTT platforms or smaller OTT platforms, production houses, they're all buying stuff. They're all literally investing into all kind of audio, video and broadcasting equipments, so that because they understand that the next thing is all about content, and how the content is going to evolve is what we are here to see.
Kuldip, my next question to you, and I know we discussed this a lot of time, it's about the manpower, right? So now when you talk about the broadcast installations and the need of the broadcast people, do you think the manpower that is there in AV today can cater to these requirements of the complex broadcast installs like a studio, or maybe something to do with creating content and stuff like that?
I mean, I have a slightly different take on manpower generally. Like, I think what's more important than the manpower is the operating model, right? Generally, like after a certain scale, any integrator should, any installer, installation company should focus on the operating model more than just seeing who's skilled, right? So I think definitely the talent is there. It's how they get trained and how they get deployed, which is what you call the operating model. I think a lot of manufacturers do work with partners within the channel or within the dealer network, basically, to have a more hands-on approach. We encourage that a lot, to have more hands-on sessions. I definitely do not think there's a dearth of manpower. It's just more like a dearth of an actual operating model.
You want to add something to that? Nikhil, you want to add something to that?
So in terms of manpower, like Kuldip said, I don't see there's a dearth of manpower. See, it's majority of the client's end objectives. Some people want to have a media room or a broadcast room, but do they have the right use cases for it? It's not about just having it because everyone's having it. You need to have use cases accordingly. I think that's something which I see some organizations lack. They would want the facility, but they don't know how to use it. And it's not about how to use the equipment, it's about how to use it for creating the content and creating the idea and concept. How do they want to use it? I think that's where
So it's
certain
safe
places.
to say that there is a space, there's an open space available
Correct.
wherein, you know, as a service, a system
Yeah.
integrator could offer these services to
Yes.
the clients?
Yes. So, see, it depends on, like I said, on the requirements. Now, if an organization has, repeated requirements of, conducting a media sessions, most of them then prefer to do it in-house. If they have a requirement which comes once in a while, then they don't want to invest it. They would give a space in terms of a physical space, but the equipments, etc., then would be bought in on a rental model, or somebody who comes in, operates, conducts the session, and then walks away. It depends on the usage. If it's heavily used, then it makes more sense for them to invest, get these equipments in, and run it themselves.
Right. My next question is to Madhu. I mean, because you've seen such, the broadcast products evolving. This question is more from a manufacturer's perspective. Do you see that the broadcast equipment manufacturers are making products for the Pro AV industry specific, or are they still giving products that they used in the broadcast environment and those same products are being used in the Pro AV space? What do you see from a manufacturer's perspective?
So the core idea of the broadcast is like helped broadcast evolving into the AV market, corporate AV market. But going forward, whatever the upgrades, whatever the enablement they are providing, and that too post-COVID, this earlier, this AV means mostly video conferencing, audio conferencing. Okay, that automation was very rare, like post-COVID, and COVID forced the entire business community to look for innovative ways. So, and to manage so many aspects of business, they started inventing variant of methods to connect, to share the content, to discuss upon case study, to analyze the data, and thus, even that was when, Team, Zoom, these kind of, meetings, evolved, and these companies also started working with video conferencing companies, and, to create a better, support for managing things, within the corporate affairs. So, thus, even the broadcast also from then onwards started thinking about the need of the corporate enterprises customers, and they will also started making products as per their requirement. That means usually in broadcast the broadcast is about baseband SDI signal, which require a lot of amount of internet data to transfer. They started working on SIMT 2110 to send and receive content in IP protocol, open protocol, so that the broadcast is about complete cabling. From there, they also for their purpose, they started developing those kind of technology, and that technology helped timely for AV institution to adapt and excel and create better content for their better managing of their day-to-day affairs, like training, or the internal propaganda, or telling the story about their company and their product, or in their marketing domain. So they started inventing ways to adapt. So for example, many companies started making switches into small algorithm, like 4 input 1 output, 8 input, because these companies are predominantly making 48 into 2 or 24 into 2 their broadcast and live events. And even that was when even the live event also, once COVID started, the live event started increasing, and for which they designed their several products to tailor made for the outside AV application, live events, all those corporate requirement.
I think the concept of AV over IP came into picture at the same time in AV as well as broadcast. But I personally feel that the AV market had a faster adaptation of the AV over IP rather than the broadcast guys, because I still know so many people in the broadcast industry today who still want to stick to SDI. And I want to get some thoughts from Maulik on this one, because you work in that space wherein a lot of audio video over IP is happening. Um, so AV over IP also is a form of broadcast, technically, if you look at it. And I think the adaptation, because was much faster in the professional AV market than the broadcast market, somewhere the broadcast lags behind when accepting IP signals. Maulik, what do you think? Do you face that kind of challenges when you're talking to partners?
Yeah, like traditionally, broadcast used to be only a thought when it comes to something to do in studio. That would make people believe that a lot of broadcasting equipments don't need so much of tech when it comes to the equipment, the use, how and what it is going to be used for, and everything else. But today, let's talk about education. Education today, in every classroom, the professors are going beyond the classrooms in India. For a for a country as diverse as India, or even internationally, when international universities are collaborating with Indian universities, broadcast as a whole has taken so much of space in the content market, where AV, IP, and broadcast work hand in hand. They are all interdependent, as I also earlier said.
You may want to add something to it, Kuldip. Kuldip, yeah.
Yeah, I think Maulik's got a good point because we have to kind of try to broaden our horizon. Education is one, hospitals or healthcare is another one. And I think, we have to, as practitioners, kind of be a little more open in ideation of broadcast technologies. Just given the fact that a lot of this is now what I call prosumer, so easier to design, easier to deploy, easier to support. And the applications which come in will soon be just not enterprise only, because there will be many other use cases which would benefit from this.
So you spoke about healthcare. Nikhil, I know that you very closely work with a lot of healthcare companies and stuff like that. What is the role of broadcast for a healthcare, let's say a hospital, for example? Where do you see that being used in a hospital environment?
Yeah. So in hospitals, I would say the broadcast is primarily used for the 4K OT, which we work generally. So because a lot of the hospitals are teaching hospitals as well. So there is a need for broadcast heavily there, because when they're doing surgeries, etc., this needs to be broadcasted with crystal clear clarity. There cannot be a drop even in a color compression as well. You need to see exactly what the colors are. You need a 4K resolution, and that needs to be broadcasted across. And that is where the students learn how the cuts are made, how the incision is made, what the surgeon is doing. So it plays a very important role, and because it is a matter of life and death in the hospital, and that's where the quality needs to be perfect. And that's where I think AV or IP is seeing a lot of adoption in hospitals now. We are looking at a lot of 4K OTs for transmission in auditoriums, classrooms, recording sessions, etc. That plays a very important role in healthcare. The second part is in signages and communication, because you have a lot of doctors, a lot of specialty, multi-specialty clinics. You see a lot of messages that is being given by by the charitable trust or the organization which owns it. So there's a lot of communication messages which goes either from a Swamiji or a chairman or or somebody of the organization, and that is being relayed to the people. So that again, their broadcast plays a very important role.
Nice. Maulik, my next question is to you. The National Education Policy 2020, it strongly recommends that we promote the development of online learning. Which essentially goes to say that, why don't you create educational studios? Because as per the policy, a student now can take multiple courses. One could be online and one could be offline. So again, coming back to your point, content is the key, right? So where do you see that, where do you see the markets going on the development of the education studio front?
So education studio as a whole, let's talk about IITs and IIMs. Let's talk about any top-rated management university in India. Everyone, somewhere or the other, are having courses that one can do online, and that's what the policy also states. Having said that, this is something that is top of the line. But let's talk about even something from something like a Montessori is also doing online classes for infants and infants with mothers. It's like mother toddler for them. So broadcast as a whole is playing a large space when it comes to education as a whole, and the policy clearly states that the studios. Why do you need a studio? The real answer behind this is COVID taught everyone a very important lesson that life will not stop, no matter what.
That's a very crucial point. Life will not stop anyway. And I think it's safe to say that, whether it's your corporates, education, house of worships, or even courtrooms for that matter, everybody today needs broadcast technology. And I think it's become a part of, the pro AV world so much that it is safe to say that we've reached a convergence point wherein the broadcast and AV technologies, actually meet. I just want to have closing statements from each one of you on that front, and I think that's it, and then we can take questions from the audience.
I think you're right. When you look at just broadcast and you look at multi-camera, you look at multi-microphone, you look at presets, a lot of these solutions are not what traditional UC manufacturers are shipping out of the box. And there is a fair amount of integration, design, deployment, and support expertise required. So, the applications that you spoke about, I think there could be very long-term, like especially for installers or design firms who like integration challenges. I think this could be the next wave of challenge. So that's my statement.
So as a distributor and as traditionally it was just about box pushing. Today it is not only a demand of certain equipments, it is a demand of solutions, it is a demand of experiences that our customers or our integrators and we thrive to create for our end clients. And that is what I would call convergence of everything. Convergence, and basically convergence of broadcast and AV, of course. Today, everyone that is in the market is selling experiences and not products. Today, everyone that is in the market is not, educating their customer about specifications or the tech behind your product or what your product can do. It is about the ease of use. It is about the scalability of that product. It is about the collaboration between that product and the existing product for you to make ease of use. For example, symbiosis. A professor there would ask my team or my integrators team to ask the peon there to make him understand on how to run the system when none of them are available. So there is where technology is going right now. That was my statement.
So for me, the broadcast has have very much to do in the domain of professional AV segment. Like now, as Rohan rightly point out, these broadcast requirements are the need of the hour for house of worship, for the live and the production, post-production segment, and also even in healthcare, the hospitals with the medical colleges are transmitting the live surgery data to their medical college, and they are having on surgery interaction with students. There is then the live event has transformed like huge. Every like the whether it is the live program of Diljit Dosanjh or like Adriana. So the live events are scaling up the user experience, where the AV is playing a very vital role in all those live events. Not only in that, in sports, in sports live, there are sports is developing into multifold business entity, and everywhere there are opportunities are available. And then even in corporate filmmaking itself, there are AR, VR, on-set video production is happening with at more precision, so that these capabilities are being already used by the corporates of Indian sector. And like where else? Then rental, there is no limitation. So earlier, yesteryear, there were few broadcasters are using the broadcast technology. Now, if you call me, even in the social media platforms, there are about 20 million broadcasters will be available, in India. So this is the field where, that's why the technology also, become very easy, understandable, learnable, so that, like the corporate houses started, inheriting those knowledge within their, day-to-day office operations, and they are making a better life out of it. This is an evolving phase, and we are at the beginning of this particular revolution. And let us understand it better, and give us best service for the entire, fraternity of the enterprises and corporates.
Thank you, Madhu.
Thank you.
Being the last guy, not a lot to say. But I would just like to close by saying that, the future is digital. Everybody wants to be seen, everybody wants to be heard. And the way to do it is converging broadcast and AV. And that's how it's going to go forward. We see a lot of people going towards this segment. People are investing. People want to, like I said, express themselves. And, this is where the world is heading. And I think it's, it's the best way to enhance the overall, communication and collaboration between people. And so that's what I see, convergence.
Thank you, Nikhil. Everybody wants to be seen. You're so right, spot on, And I always say one thing, that content is the king today, right? As long as you have the right content, you can get the right customers, and, everything is there if you have the right content, and everything is not there if you don't have the right content. So yes, thank you very much, my friends, and if there are any questions right now from the audience, I think our panelists will be more than happy to take it. If not, then I think that's a wrap. So thank you very much. Any questions? Okay, cool. So thank you very much, Kuldip, Maulik, Madhu, Nikhil. Thanks a lot.
Thanks guys. Thank you, everyone.